Hey guys, Joe here of the Joe Madden Sports Podcast. I'm joined this afternoon by Alex B. Smith, co-host of the Ice Guys. Alex, how's the day going?
I'm doing all right. Just getting ready. It's Memorial Day weekend here, so we're getting ready for the what should be the last couple of games in the second round, and looking forward to what we should be a great conference final. It's already been a fun Stanley Cup playoff so far, so that's what I'm looking forward to. Nice weather here in St. Paul, Minnesota, and enjoying some hockey while enjoying the weather as well. So.
Absolutely. The playoffs have been a wild ride, but before we get into talking hockey, let's talk about you. How did you get started in this industry?
Yeah, so I grew up in a family. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I had people in my family that would bet and gamble. And it wasn't really something I ever thought I'd do for a career. Actually, when I moved up here to Minnesota in 2008, I was actually trying to be a musician. I was a bass player. I
Okay.
played bass for many years, and I was in some bands. Went to music school up here, and eventually I ended up having to leave a band. I got sick and couldn't play on stage for a while. And so my hobby of betting on sports kind of just grew more into, I started talking about it on Twitter, started writing about it just kind of just on my own. And then I got basically kind of discovered it more or less. Kelly Stewart, Kelly in Vegas fame. Got to know her well, got to know Dave Koken and Matt Humans, did some spots on their old show, the Las Vegas Sports Line on ESPN 1100. And it just grew like wildfire. And it was mostly because there weren't a lot of people that were betting hockey at the time, and hockey is one of my favorite sports. I grew up being a huge fan. I'm a huge Blackhawks fan. Watched the Chicago Wolves as a kid, and so I already naturally bet football and basketball, of course, but hockey kind of just gravitated to me because that's just the sport that I love watching, and got on a really hot run around 2012 and 2013, and started betting more and started getting more followers on Twitter, and it just grew into being on different websites, doing writing for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, eventually meeting Ian Cameron, who's formed the Ice Guys, which is the podcast that I'm on now. And it's just been a wild ride. I've gotten to meet so many different people and be on so many different shows, and it's just been a lot of fun in those last 10 years. It's a lot of hard work too, but it's enjoyable work for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many wonderful people in this industry. It's
Yeah.
always an honor to have people like yourself on my show tell their story. I absolutely love how people got into it. Let's talk the playoffs. We've had a crazy ride. I'm a Calgary fan, diehard Calgary fan. We saw them go out last night. Can the Edmonton Oilers be stopped?
It's possible. It is possible they can be stopped, but I mean the tear that they went on in this last round. I mean, you look at how Game One started, and it just seemed like, oh, here we go. Mike Smith making a bunch of mistakes, and the Oilers, tripping over themselves in the playoffs once again. Calgary gets on that hot run, but then all of a sudden you see Edmonton come right back in that game, and they're just trading blows. I said it on Twitter last night. The series was like a classic boxing match. It was just trading shots one after the other, and you saw these rallies of goals. It was unbelievable. But Edmonton, they were able to buckle down in Game Two and realize, like, this is the game that we're playing now. We're playing a more wide open game. We don't have to kind of tailor ourselves to Calgary style, because Calgary's for the most part, with Sutter, they try to be a bit defensively, responsible, try to lock things down defensively. We saw that with the Calgary and Dallas series, of course. And they played right into Edmonton style, wide open hockey. You letting Connor McDavid pass the puck around, and Vander Kane finding the back of the net, got that natural hat trick. And they just went off like wildfire. The goaltending was shaky on both ends, but it was the offense. Zach Hyman getting a goal in each game. Connor McDavid just being on an absolute tear. I mean, when those two guys, and keep in mind Leon Draisaitl, one of the better players in the league, he's playing through an injury as well. So you got all those guys rolling. It seems like they're hard to beat, but I think if they end up taking on Colorado, which we'll talk about that obviously if that's the game tonight, I think Colorado beats St. Louis. That's going to be a fun series. I think Colorado might have the horses to slow down the Oilers.
What do you think of Mike Smith? Do you think he can handle the pressure going into the next round, or do you think we'll see Mike Smith have that classic Mike Smith game where we're like, what the heck is he doing here?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. He's been up and down during this postseason as well. It's just a matter of, can he stay consistent and for 4 out of the 7 games. Essentially, that's what you're asking of him. But like I said, it's going to be tough with they do play Colorado, which, like I said, I expect to. That's going to be tough because that's an offense. We see them, they light up the board just like Edmonton does. Honestly, we saw it in that earlier in the St. Louis series. You blink of an eye, they get 3 goals in a minute and a half. So Mike Smith has to, stay, mentally sharp And I mean, he's a veteran goalie, but like I said, we've seen him just go up and down. And I think the Oilers kind of recognize that too. They say, hey, the fact that we can't always just count on him to be a lockdown goalie night after night, then, we got to take care of things on our end offensively. We got to try to get as many goals as possible. And that's why we've seen a lot of high scoring efforts from them.
Yeah, absolutely. We've also seen their defense step up as well and not allowing as many shots on goal, helping Mike Smith in that situation. Now, let's move into tonight's game. We have a great one on our hands between these two teams, with the Colorado Avalanche going into St. Louis for this game 6. You're leaning on the Avs to get a win. Are you looking for them to get a big win here? Or what are you thinking, Alex?
I feel like, it's imperative that they win this game now. I mean, obviously, they had that big lead in Game 5, up 3-0. You got, your home crowd is rocking and rolling, and all of a sudden, you let the Blues get back in, tie the game at 3. Nathan MacKinnon gets the hat trick to go up 4-3 with about a minute and a half left. And it's interesting. I really feel that, obviously when, there's a hat trick, everybody's throwing the hats out. There's a bit of a delay. Between that delay, Colorado taking their own timeout, and then St. Louis getting a chance to take a timeout, I think that was enough time for that Blues team to kind of just settle in and get things rolling well enough to finally get that tying goal by Robert Thomas. And, of course, 3 minutes in the overtime, we saw Tyler Bozak get the game winner. So, to have that kind of a letdown for Colorado, and this is a team that hasn't gotten out of the second round in the last 3 years. The whole year, everybody's calling them Stanley Cup, favorites. This is a big win for them. And they have to do it now, even though they have a chance. They don't win now, they go to Game 7. I don't think if they go to Game 7, even if it's back home, that's going to be doomed for them, in my opinion. I think they need to take care of business tonight. Forget about what happened at the end of Game 5. Start clean. Win this game here in advance and get the demon off their back of not being able to get out of the second round and getting into the conference final. So it's imperative for them to start fast and get a win here and not worry about a Game 7 back home.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have seen ice advantage for the road team in this series as well. So it'll be interesting to see how these two teams come out tonight. As a fan, do you have a preference for the Avs or the Blues?
No, because I'm a Blackhawks fan, so these are two Central Division teams that I don't really care for too much, to be honest. But I mean, it's great for the game if Colorado were to advance. Nathan MacKinnon is an absolute stud. Same thing with Kellen McCarr. Those are two of the finest, brightest players in the game. And if you could have those two going up against the likes of Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and so forth, that's going to make for a great series. Going to make for exciting TV. Even if you aren't a hockey fan, this is the time for sure to watch some good hockey. So I think that would be the best matchup to watch as a fan, and even from a betting standpoint, because I mean we're going to see goals galore if we get Colorado and Edmonton.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at some nice team totals over and everything in that one.
Definitely. First period overs, full game overs. It seems like they can't make the number high enough. I'm surprised we haven't seen a lot of 7s. I thought we actually would see a 7 with that game with Edmonton and Calgary last night. But and even if it was, still would have flown over that. So it's going to be a lot of fun hockey if we get the Avalanche and the Oilers in a conference final.
Yeah, absolutely. Any props that you'd be looking at for tonight? I know Nathan MacKinnon, his assist over 0.5 tonight is coming in at -121. I think there's great value there as well as Cale Makar's assist over 0.5.
Yeah, those are both decent prices and numbers, and those guys are going to have to step up, obviously, for them to win the game. And like I said, MacKinnon, after coming off of a hat trick, he wants to try to. He's not going to be able. I don't think he's going to be able to duplicate what he did, but he's going to try to give his best effort at it. The one thing I do like in this game is the first period over. It's at 2 plus $1.10. I don't really like taking 2s during the regular season, but in the playoffs, 2s have actually kind of cashed in more often. We saw it a lot in the first round, where, especially the fact that, like I said, these are two teams that know they have to get off to a fast start. Getting that first goals are going to be a really big thing for them. And if you're down 1-0 early, answering back as quickly as possible is going to be the mantra moving there. So I think we'll see 2 goals. I think we'll see more than 2 goals in the first period. And so I like that at plus 110. That's a great price that you're getting there. So that's what one of the plays I'm on tonight.
Absolutely. Now we have a great game tomorrow as well with the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers playing. Can the Rangers get another win and keep this extended?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those spots where, you feel like it's going to be the first goal is really going to be dictate the pace of this game, because these are two teams that have played some great defense in this series. We've seen unders cashing left and right, and getting that crowd on their side in Madison Square Garden. It's a way different atmosphere in the playoffs than it is in the regular season. It's kind of a quiet, tone subdued crowd in the regular season, but they're gassed up and ready to go during the playoffs, and that team feeds off of that. So if they get the first goal early and they can kind of ride that, and of course ride Igor Shesterkin the way he's played at net in some of these wins, I think they will be able to close this out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a great game. Any thoughts on that total? Do you think we're actually going to see one of these games go over between them? It did open at 5, now up to 5.5.
Yeah, if you were able to grab a 5, I'd say kudos to you. That might be, we might see it just creep right over, possibly to 6. And of course, being in an elimination, with elimination spot, you always look at those third period overs because you tend to see the goalies get pulled much earlier in spots, especially when you're talking about two tight teams like this. So you might see the goalie out. If it's a 2-1 game, that goalie might be gone with about maybe 4.5 minutes left instead of 2 minutes. So you tend to see some extra empty net goals. So yeah, I would lean to the over in this game, even though we've seen it trend under during the series.
Okay, Alex, I won't keep you much longer. Can you let everyone know where to find you and everything that you have going on with the Ice Guys?
Yeah. Find us on the Ice Guys. You can follow us on YouTube. Just look up the Ice Guys. We're on 7 days a week, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays and Sundays at noon Eastern. You can follow me personally at AX Smith Sports on Twitter. Follow _Ice Guys on Twitter. And you can also find my plays over at againstthenumber.com.
Okay, keep crushing it. You're dominating in the hockey betting world. So love everything you got going on, Alex, and I appreciate your time today.
Wonderful. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Bye, guys.